Hi everyone. Okay.
Hi.
Hello, hi everyone. Good evening, good morning, wherever you're joining us from. Good afternoon. Hi.
Hello, everybody.
Okay, yeah.
Maria.
Got people joining. Okay.
Okay.
Hi, Miss Maria. Hi.
Hi.
So maybe what we can do is till we wait for people to join in because we still have another minute to go for people to come. So you can introduce yourselves using the chat box. Tell us where you're from, and maybe you can also indicate if you're joining us again. If you were there in the first session, that would be. Hi, Miss Katie. Okay. Hi, I see some familiar faces.
Yes. Maria. Suchana. Anjali. Symbiosis International School, Pune. Hi, Miss Anjali. How are you? Hi, Maria. You were there in my group, in my breakout rooms. Good to see you again. And
We have an NYP music teacher here who's joining us. We would love your perspectives on solo as well. We still have people, maybe like just 1 or 2 minutes. So what you can do is, if you haven't visited the Padlet already, so people who are joining in again, maybe you can go and fill in the what you learned. So your takeaways from the first session is something that you can certainly fill. I'm just going to share the Padlet link. You must have also gotten it in my email or Facebook, wherever. I've put it up everywhere. So as people are joining, we can just probably do that. Yeah. Hi everyone. So lovely to see you all taking the time. Okay. We still have people joining in.
Hi, Abhishri. I was not able to get into my group, and you had also said that Facebook has that share ideas.
Yeah.
I was not able to locate anyone there, and so I don't know which group I belong to. Nothing. I was not able, so I'll be a spectator today.
No problem, no problem. We're hoping that, I know that the group thing was quite a challenge for everyone. I got some mails as well. I try to respond as best that I can. But yeah, there were some difficulties, which is okay. I hope, I know that Ms. Shalini has tried out, so we have hers ready. We have Mr. Sumrai sir who also tried it out and he's also sent it across to us. So if we have
Okay.
even 2 more people sharing, I think we'd have a lot of takeaway from that. So
Okay.
if
So it's
any of,
okay.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. No, I tried, but I looked in Facebook. But what was that thing? PYP, share my idea.
PYP, let's share some ideas. So maybe I'll drop the Facebook link here in a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, because it did not work. I logged in. I also took this thing, got
No
into it, but it didn't work out. I didn't see anything with what was related. What you people conducted this workshop.
Okay, no worries. No worries on that, Ms. Sridhana. Yeah. Okay, so
Right.
we would just begin now. I think quite a few people have joined in. We're going to try and be more mindful of time today. So all our discussions are going to be, timed, so that everybody gets the full benefit. We would hang around after the chat, and if any further questions, you can definitely do that. Yeah. So we'll be announcing how many minutes for discussion. Yes, that's how we'll go do it today. Yes, over to you, Ms. Suja.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Sabishri. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's IB Ed Chat Session 2 on implementing Solo taxonomy. I will be introducing the speakers to you for those who are joining us today. We have with us Ms. Tanu Jain. Ms. Tanu has been a PYP facilitator for past 8 years. Currently, she is facilitating PYP 4 at the Indian Public School, Erode, Tamil Nadu. We have with us Mr. Joshua. Mr. Joshua was a PYP facilitator for a year. Currently, he's a MYP science facilitator at Ila Green School, Tamil Nadu. Ms. Abhishri is in the IB field for past 5 years. She's been a PYP facilitator and a leader. Currently, she's an academic consultant and a coach. Myself, Ms. Suja Doylen. I am a PYP facilitator at Oakheart Global School, Aurangabad. Ms. Abhishri will take forward with the structure of today's IB Ed chat.
So as I caught you guys up a little early, so today, as usual, today is a discussion. It's not a workshop, and it's just a place to share our ideas. Since many people couldn't attend the last part of the chat last time, we kind of reassessed and thought we should be more mindful of the time. So we will time the discussions. Any extra thoughts or ideas, you can always share it in the chat, or you can share it on the Padlet. That's why the Padlet has been made available. So we will stick to the time slots for the discussion today, and that's pretty much it. Can we have a show of hands if you had a chance to collaborate? How many of you kind of tried doing a solo framework? I mean, if you can like do a reaction, or I'll try to kind of see you guys. If you can just do like a thumbs up, or maybe yes, Miss Erin is replying that she's tried one on her own. Okay, so we have 3 people then who are ready to present. Miss Erin, would you be willing to share your ideas as well? Like, because in the next couple of slides, maybe we'll ask you to share your thoughts and ideas on planning. Okay, yeah. So without much further ado, let's jump in. Thank you.
All right. All right. Do we have Miss Shalini Ishwadas? I didn't see her.
Yes,
she's not there, but this is what she was in my group, during the breakout session, and this is what when we collaborated, this is what we shared.
She's here, ma'am. Miss Tanu,
okay.
She's here.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine. Then Miss Shalini, you can go ahead. This is yours version that you have sent.
So we're going to start off with a sharing session. Ms. Shalini, if you can just give us a couple of words on how you structured this, like what were you thinking of, and just explain this process. That's it. Yeah.
Good evening. So the topic that we chose was culture, and when I was working on developing the solo taxonomy for this, something that was in my mind was about international mindedness and bringing in intercultural understanding and all of that. So with that,
Oops, sorry about that. Yes, please continue, ma'am.
So with that in mind, I started with designing the entire taxonomy. So with the unistructural stage, I started with identifying any one element of a culture, where probably I wanted the students to tell me any the first things that come in their mind when they think about culture. It could be something, say, food or music or art, something of that sort. And probably then ask them to describe other elements of the culture, which probably I can dig a little deeper, where they are not just talking about those surface elements, but also the deeper aspects of culture, right? And then moving on to the relational stage, where they're actually comparing or classifying those elements into surface and deep, right? Where things are readily visible and those that require a little more in-depth inquiry into it. And once they have those elements, kind of making those connections also to form those ideas about what constitutes a culture. And I thought they could also connect and compare and contrast different cultures using those elements. And for the extended abstract, I thought they could create their own version of what culture means to them, and they could justify their statement based on that.
Okay. That sounds very interesting. I liked how you spoke about international mindedness and intercultural understanding. And you have had that in your mind when you framed this. That was a very interesting insight. So, next up, yes, Ms. Tanu.
All right. Next, I would like to, we're going to ask a few more people to have the discussion into it. Like, what was your journey? So we want to take up in like, what are the challenges you faced, or what were the why movements you had, when you were designing this particular framework, and how did you go about planning it, and and what are challenges you think you're going to encounter when you're implementing this with your students? Because at the end of the day, we realize it's for the students. So I would like anybody to just pitch in or just share in your thing. Either you can write it up how you have done it, or you can share anyone who I think Erin Fox.
Yeah, Miss Erin and Miss Nanta. Miss Nanta, Miss Erin and Miss Nanta can share. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
we
can.
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you.
Oh, let me just move the chat box now because it's covering the questions. So
Okay.
I guess I unfortunately had to leave early in the first session.
Right.
So I wasn't able to collaborate, but I looked at the different suggestions of units. And so I also did one on culture because it was something we just finished at my own school. So looking at, I actually had really similar to what was just shared, identifying cultural traits, explaining the historical context behind them, comparing and contrasting cultures. And then I also, for the final step, was looking at trying to connect it, sorry, my 6-month-old, trying to connect it with what we did at our school. So they actually had to create their own culture using their understanding of the cultural traits and what they had understood, what they had learned. But looking at the challenges, I think what challenges me right now is, when we put these things in the Solo taxonomy, are we just listing tasks the students do? Or, so, by the end of a unit, is it possible that some kids are only on, the multi-level stage, but they have completed the other tasks because it was a requirement that they're going to go through these processes, but they may not have been successful. So then we go back and say they're at the, multi-level, or is it that as long as they've completed it, they've made it to the next step? So that's a challenge that I face. Is this a way to also assess and be able to provide an achievement level, or is it just a way to kind of list the order we're doing tasks? Sorry, I don't want to talk too long. I know we're timed.
That was a wonderful insight about the culture, another perspective with culture. And it was really nice for you to really showcase, what challenges you're facing when it comes to, multi-structural or, just completing the task. It is basically, when we delve into it, we just go ahead with it and we try to understand how we want to scaffold the students to move to the next levels. Can we have, any another person who would like to share?
Yeah, Miss Nanta has tried it out with her colleague as well. And
Yes.
Miss Erin, one more thing is, as we go along the chat, I think you'd find some things that you'd find interesting and maybe might answer or, give a perspective on how Miss Tanu has dealt with it in her school. So we'll come back to that. Yes, Miss Nanta, go ahead. Miss Nanta?
Yeah, I'm trying just to show my screen.
Oh,
I've
okay.
mailed it to you also,
Yeah,
Abhishek.
yeah. One second. So yes, you can share your screen now, Ms. Nanta. Are you able to?
No, I'm not able to as
Okay,
yet.
I am just going to quickly. Have you mailed it to me right now?
Yeah, I mailed it to you.
Okay, I'm just gonna try and open that.
Yeah.
Yes, I have it right here. Just one moment. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, well-being. That's interesting.
Our topic was well-being. Initially, it has been started by Ms. Shivani. So she has put it like as well-being in the pre-structural. I need help to get started. So my further suggestion was like if we have a frail, because here it is all hypothetical. We have not
Yes.
tried it out as yet, but we tried using this format. So it was like if we show an image of a frail or a sick person and get them children to tune in and start like, where the child has no knowledge, to make them think about it. So Ms. Shivani, she suggested that then we throw after the provocation, we let the children come up with what do they understand by the word well-being, and they define it their own words. Or name one skill that contributes, basically coming on to the first idea, and list one characteristic of well-being. So in the next multi-structural stage, it is explain types of well-being, describe some lifestyle choices that affect our well-being. Abhishek, can you just, if you move down the document?
Yeah, I'm doing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So another, like, this was my thought process on it, that though it was almost on the same lines, like name one factor that contributes to well-being. Because we say that children come up with initially to make them think about it, and identify one benefit of eating healthy and exercising on the body. Or identify one benefit of eating healthy and exercising on the mind. Because well-being, as for my own thinking goes, is just not like, eating a balanced diet and all. It goes much, much more beyond, especially with with the new generation now. Rather, our generation also.
Certainly.
Then when it comes to multistructural, they list some factors that contribute to being well-being, outline the effects of these factors on well-being, and list and describe the effects of different exercises and food that have on the well-being. So this is further than making connections, basically. Where can you just move up? That was the black one is Shivani's ideas.
Okay. Yeah.
So we both contributed towards it, and basically, ultimately, it is same. So classify well-being according to its type. For example, physical well-being includes workout routine, healthy diet, etc. Social well-being includes being kind, polite, caring, etc. Basically developing the learner profile. And once you have learner profile, I would say you are international minded. Spiritual well-being includes meditation, reading good books, and so on, and making connections between the different types of well-being. For example, connections between nutrition, exercise, sleep, stress management. And then it was explained the effects of an unbalanced lifestyle on well-being. If a lifestyle is not good, so how does it affect on being well? Making connections with ATL for deeper understanding of social skills and self-management skills. Because when it comes to social health, our social characters, it also, emotional health is basically dependent on social skills.
Absolutely.
Compare and contrast the balance, little down. It's okay, Chalo. Not an issue.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
Compare and contrast the balanced lifestyle of people from around the world.
Okay. So the last stage.
And last one, when it comes to create, Shivani came up with beautiful ideas. Create a well-being chart for your family members, keeping in mind their age, like here you have different age groups where you a toddler, may have toddlers, teen. So basically, this caters to your, as it is differentiation comes on its own. And create posters, slogans to spread awareness about how to stay healthy, happy, and comfortable. Take action to make healthier choices. What are your personal targets? Plan what well-being might look like over a period of time. Create sources of, go a little down.
Okay.
Sources of information to provide health information. So these are, I would say, basically that is how we could balance the whole unit over here. I don't know, this was our first attempt. How you all are there to, give us better ideas. Everybody
feedback and feed forward for this.
That was a wonderful effort.
You know what? Before making this, as my earlier colleague has shared that international mandate was on his mind, right? In my mind, this current situation, COVID-19 was in my mind when I was designing this solo taxonomy, because well-being is the main area where we all need to work on in this current situation, COVID-19. So that was on my mind when I was designing this.
That was really wonderful. I mean, very detailed and wonderful collaboration and very beautifully created. I think, really a great thumbs up and well tried. And, I think it's summarized lined with what even I am trying with my unit. We are going with it, and I'm going to try with well-being as the first one. As you said, psychological needs, physiological needs are more important, as you said. So I just want to write what were the challenges or wow moments you had while planning this, and how was your planning process, and what challenges you think you will encounter when implementing this with the students. I also want to know your perspective on these four questions we have on the screen.
As I already shared, this is a hypothetical planner. We just, this is not one of the units which we've done with the students as yet.
Okay.
And
Okay.
The challenge right now was of time constraint, because we have the classes going on, and after classes we had to work on it.
Okay.
Honestly, we did not collaborate online. I just made it mine thing and I send it to ma'am. Okay, this is my perspective. You please how you can work on it, and then we can go about it. So we did not get any time to even call to each other or talk about it. And here is the platform where we are sharing this thing,
Yeah.
Okay.
I see too.
Wow moment for me was just to design it. Seriously, it was the very first time I'm doing it, and that was the wow moment for me. Wow, I'm able to do it. Oh wow.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. And I noticed that it was really, I could see a progression in the complexity very, very clearly. And I could see that layers kept getting added. A question, two pointers that have come in the chat are, could we create a separate solo taxonomy framework, like that complexity thing, for every line of inquiry? And, has anyone made one for math or English? And somebody has also said, how do you get in local and global issues? It is a big challenge to address. So these are certainly some questions that are there. And for the one on each LOI, Ms. Shalini, do you want to share something? Because I know you have done this, or anybody else. I know Ms. Shalini has done it, so I'm asking her. So this would be the last discussion for this bit. Do you want to talk about whether it's possible for every line of inquiry, Ms. Shalini?
Yes. So we're actually in the designing phase of solo taxonomy for our school right now. And what we have done, or we're trying to do, is actually do this entire taxonomy for each line of inquiry. And I think something that, or what sounds, let's say, a takeaway from our teachers was that when you're actually, when each of your lines of inquiry is connected with each other and they're really authentic, you find that direct connection from, the extended abstract of the first line of inquiry, and you move to the second line of inquiry, right? I mean, there's that automatic, it's very organic, and it just happens. So I think that is something that we all have been very excited about. So yes, it is possible with each line of inquiry too.
Wow. Thank you for that.
that was really wonderful, ma'am, because I will say honestly, when I do with for myself, I also do for each line of inquiry. And when I learned, and I will say whatever I'm sharing today is also what I've learned from, Miss Michael Hughes, and it was his plenary session, which I had attended in SAIPSA, and from where I have taken a lot of things and I have learned. And whatever his suggestions, because each line of inquiry is a concept, as he says, it makes it very, very organic, as you say, connecting each other and coming to a conclusion. And that makes it very user-friendly for students also to take the progression and take part. They become the part of the learning process. So that is really wonderful, ma'am.
Very true.
So thank you for that sharing session. Two really, really strong, three really, really strong inputs. I hope that gave you some ideas on how you can take it forward. And thank you to all the three. And we have one coming up with the MYP perspective as well. But I think we've all been like quite a bit of risk takers and tried it out and found that, okay, we could engage with it pretty easily. So that's one more reason maybe we could try it out in our own classrooms. Moving ahead, yes, Ms. Tanu.
All right, now let's move ahead for the next one is, after learning so much about, what is solo taxonomy and what are the stages of the solo taxonomy, and you have framed also, your solo taxonomy. Now, I want to know, let's just discuss within ourselves, or somebody can share it for next 5 minutes or so. What could are the opportunities you could implement this back into the classroom? Because end of the day, what are we learning or sharing here has to be taken back to the classroom, has to be implementable or doable. So what are the opportunities we have to implement solo in the classroom? You can write in the chat box, you can share it, or you can just go ahead. Anyone who's...
Yeah, we can get more voices out there. People who haven't shared maybe can go ahead. Yeah.
Hi, Miss Tracy has put up a big sentence on the chat box connecting how implementing solo taxonomy would work beautifully for the PYP exhibition.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Tracy, if you could explain a little bit more, that would be really helpful for everyone. Hello?
Hello?
Tracy, yes, I think we can hear you.
Yes, yes.
It's early morning here, so my family's sleeping, so I haven't been speaking
okay.
that much.
Okay, sorry.
But it just struck me how, as I'm working with my students, especially right now, virtually through exhibition, I'm really seeing when we're together, it feels like I have more opportunity to guide them, but they're really having to be independent right now. And so it's very obvious who's making the connections and which phase they're in. And I was just thinking, developed a solo taxonomy that connected with exhibition. I think it would really guide those students and help them understand how to take their learning a little bit deeper.
Okay. I like what you said about, helping students understand, solo is all about that. In fact, in Ms. Nanta's presentation also, she had included that. It starts with an I can statement, right? So really resonates that it really supports students to kind of self-assess and see, oh, this is where I am. This is where I can go next. So making it evident for them can really come in handy. And if you are a school who's been, who makes it a practice to include it in every unit, starting from your early years to, PYP5, they can design it themselves, and that would be like the ultimate form of agency is what I see you telling me.
Exactly. This is what I was thinking. The structure really gives loads of opportunities to students to take the ownership of their learning. They really become agenting through this structure.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think by the time they get to 5th grade, they would be able to design it, which would be great.
Exactly.
Okay, this is exactly what we had, I had done this in my class for another unit, but then based on this learning from solo, my students for the exhibition had picked up on it, and keeping the solo as as you said, using the extended abstract, looking at the way the extended abstract works, they worked on their exhibition process, and that is what led them to come up with the action component for the whole exhibition that they were planned of. So when you implement it, it does wonders.
Yeah.
Miss Salima has brought out a very interesting point. Though I didn't use solo, but I feel the stages of it are aligned with IB inquiry cycle. So we had a question as we were discussing solo. So the big question was, if solo taxonomy, then does it mean no inquiry cycles? And Miss Tanu had a beautiful insight on that because she does this in her classroom. Yes, Miss Tanu.
I would just say that it's not that you don't need to. It's like, what is inquiry cycle? I guess for me, is just a process of inquiring into it. An inquiry cycle has to be messy, as everybody said, cannot be a linear process. But what I understand is, what from my experience is that many schools, when we get in touch with, many schools have certain inquiry cycles. They follow the same kind of inquiry cycle, probably Kathy Short's inquiry cycle or Kath Murdoch inquiry cycle. So it becomes like, at times it becomes very, very difficult for them to suddenly change an inquiry cycle. So in my school, we are not very particular about an inquiry cycle. We can, if you see my old planner also, I'm not very particular. I have designed my own inquiry cycle, co-constructed my own inquiry cycle along with my students. And what I have done is I have mapped the solo stages with my inquiry cycle. So what happens is, on the board, I have my inquiry cycle along with the solo stages. So it gives a great visible thinking for my students to know and self-reflect on their own process. And, it gives me an easy thing. Okay, I am more like just a spectator or just a part of the learner who is only working only for the 20-30% in my classroom, and the remaining 70% is taken care by my students, because they themselves know at which stage they are and which stage they have to move. So it is very easy at times, whichever inquiry cycle you do it, just map these solo stages with your inquiry cycle. Or sometimes if you can justify that this stages itself is my inquiry cycle, well and good.
Yeah. Wow, that was an interesting conversation. So, couple of ideas on where we could implement solo have come up. So it can be embedded, and it can be used in virtual learning. And someone has given an MYP perspective. So time is up for this discussion. So we are really trying to be conscious of time. So we're going to go ahead and see how it works in Ms. Tanu's classroom. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just sharing what I have done in my classroom, like for past 1 year. I use a lot of solo verbs. If you see this solo verbs is one of my boards. Whatever I've put it over here is there. This is one of my boards in the classroom for students to, guide and think about themselves, like at which stage they are, what are they able to do. And at whichever stage they have little difficulty, I just guide them or scaffold them a little, and they just jump in, take it from there, move back, and they're just a lot of moving around. It's like an active board in my classroom which guides them, like where they have to go, where they have to do, what they have to do, and they set their own goals. So it becomes quite easy for me, and they set their own goals. So I use a lot of solo verbs. These verbs are like very much part of my classroom verbs. Environment words has become very much that. So I would just advise you, if you can do that, make it your one board. You need not have all the words. You can have to your age. I would just suggest, keep it to your age related, whichever age group you are targeting, keep it according to your age. I take grade 4. I have taken from 1 to 5 all the grades. So depending on your grade levels, just have it something which is age appropriate to your levels. That makes more sense. It's all keeping everything. And the next one would be probably.
Next slide, Joshua.
Joshua, next slide. Yeah. Okay. Next one, this planner, I think you have seen in the last presentation also. This is the planner, the new enhanced PYP planner. We have the second stage where you have designing and implementing stage, which is like an ongoing process where we use it in that you have one designing learning engagement. So what I have done is that designing learning engagement itself, I have put it in that structure. And if you see, you can see the 3 stages of my inquiry cycle, which is being co-constructed by my students for this particular inquiry. And this is how I have mapped the stages. So this is how, according to my students, they have mapped it. And it is not that every inquiry will have the same kind of mapping. Every inquiry, the mapping will change depending on the students' levels and students' understanding. And then we keep shuffling it up. So this is how we do it. And you can just do it in a designing and implementing stage. This is how I have done it. And I have got this input from Michael Yuke. This is how he has done it. He's doing it in his school, and this is taken from there, and I've tried to adapt into my inquiry cycle.
One question, Ms. Tanu, do you give your students the learning outcomes and they mapped it where they felt it fit? or do students create the learning outcomes first? Like, how did you?
Okay, when I started doing it, it was like initially I did it so that they have a, I modeled it for like probably for this inquiry, I had modeled it because this was the first inquiry we had. First two inquiries, it became, I just modeled it. But when towards the end of the second inquiry, they were automatically, they started using the verbs. They could correlate the verbs very easily and they can do it by themselves. And then here came the differentiation. Initially, it took me a lot of time to scaffold it, but sometimes it was so messy, but then I took it as a challenge, and until unless you don't do it, you don't. And now it is like, wow, I just enjoy working with it. It just takes away so much of my work back. I don't have to really bother much in the classroom. And even if I'm not there in the classroom at times, I know what they are doing, and it just becomes very, very easy for me. So if you wish, you can just do that. And I do it using lines of inquiry, because I feel that becomes very, very easy. As one of the ma'am said, organically connects to the second line of inquiry. It actually happens. It actually happens and leads to the next one and into the provocation, which is so beautiful.
Yeah. So we'll come back to the rest of the questions at the end. So if we can move on, we have made a note of it and we'll certainly come to it at the end. Yes.
Okay. This is one of the strategy, which is the learning engagement, where you have from PAMHOOK. If you open PAMHOOKs, which is there in our Padlet, the resources there in our Padlet, if you want to just go through it. She's also one of the very famous persons who, he has given us a lot of amazing, amazing resources. This is one of the way when we are learning into materials and matter, and just to the starting part of it, what do they understand about matter? This is a solo graphic organizer. Okay, it comes into these shapes like this, and you have every stages. Then it is like, then they finally come up with what according to them is matter. As simple as that. So it need not be that you have solo taxonomy using only for the whole line of inquiry. You can even use solo taxonomy for one particular learning engagement and make them go through the end also. Because that is also one aspect where also you can understand their whole journey. I know one aspect of matter. I know, many aspects of matter. I can connect my prior learning and I can move to the abstraction. And you can also use it for the whole lines of inquiry as well, or you can also use it for the whole inquiry as well. So it depends on how you want to use it for that particular moment. It is quite contextual. You have to take a call for yourself when you're designing your own inquiry within the classroom, keeping in mind your students' levels and readiness.
Okay. So next up.
The next is, again, this is one of my favorites. Because this is like one of the favorites. I think everybody should try this. This is hexagons, and those who have tried it, this is, you have to just fix in, you have to connect how each hexagon is connected to each other, and they have to give the justification and reasoning. So you can see the whole process of movement from the first stage to the last stage in a beautiful manner, and it is such a wonderful tool to scaffold. And you can really see them, how they are using, how they are reflecting on their prior knowledge, how they're reflecting on the current knowledge, and it gives them the guidance of how they can do it for the further thing also, what they want to learn further, because they know it's not connecting, and then they go back to it. So they go back to their multi-structural stage, and they come back to, again, I have to add more over here, and they see the connection, and they again go back. So it is like a wonderful inquiry in this one particular learning engagement.
So I have another question, like two questions related to the previous slide. So what are the questions you asked to get the responses? Joshua, so if you could go to the previous slide.
Okay.
What were some of the questions? And one more is, should we choose the verbs for particular stage, keeping in mind the students' phases? I would answer the second one, yes. So you will have to keep the phase of the learner in your mind when you are, mapping that out. And you might notice that some of the children do not maybe reach the extended abstract stage, and that's where I would link back to the differentiation comment that came about, that it's okay, right? I mean, talks about agency, and the reason why IB has made up phases is to do with that, and Solo perfectly aligns with that concept of phases. If you can take up, Ms. Tanu, the question of what questions,
what questions I usually ask, in the center, it is written, it's matter. Like the first box itself, it's like a group activity. They just write in, like, according to them, what is matter? Just like the word matter is there in between, and they just write whatever based on their prior knowledge. And then sometimes here they have, some of them written, but sometimes I ask them orally also, why shape and why space? And then there is oral conversation, there is written part, and it's a journey in itself. And now I take particularly grade 4, but we have applied this in grade 1 also. So where you have to use scaffolding a little more compared to a grade 4 level. So there, it depends on the age specificity and the readiness of the children. So this is where I ask them, okay, according to whatever the word they write, I think, why? Can you give me an example? Can you support with an example? Have you done this somewhere before? Where have you learned this somewhere before? How do you connect this to me? So whatever answers they give me, this gives me an idea of scaffolding them to the next level. And for me, when I design things in my classroom, I make sure that at least all my students come to relational stage, and at least more than half come to the extended abstract, because I completely understand everybody may not be able to reach probably at that particular time to that extended abstract. But because I always believe inquiry doesn't happen when the inquiry is going on. Inquiry actually happens when the inquiry is completed and you see the next result. So we have that thing waiting for the whole year to recheck and re-go back, because that is why that verbs are there in my classroom, and they just put in the post-it and they reconnect. So this is always like that.
Thank you, Ms. Tanu. So if we could just quickly go on to the next one.
Next one is, yes, this is again the self-reflection, and we're talking more about self-reflection and taking agency and self-efficacy or what we say. Whatever key concepts, you can according to the key concepts. This is I do according to the key concepts. They just say at which stage they are, and they just set the goals by themselves. It's there in one of the board. They just put in the post-its, and they put it. I have color-coded the post-its, and they just put it over there for them to guide them and complete the inquiry by itself. And it is like a wonderful tool. You can use it in your classroom for an inquiry also, or for classroom behavior also, or for ATLs also, for anything that makes sense to you.
Yeah. Next up.
Next one is yes. As somebody asked me, all these are the hot solo maps by Pam Hook, and if you see define, the very first one is the sample which we had shared it before. The rubrics and how to deal with it, it's the graphic organizer. If you go to Pam Hook's resources, it is clearly defined there. You can, I have used out of this at 3 to 4, but I couldn't share the sample. I'm sorry for that. But then you can, it is over there, and it gives you a complete guidance as to how you approach it. Because solo doesn't only comes for the whole inquiry, because that perspective again has to be restructured. You can use it different depending on, so you have once made your solo for your whole line of inquiry, and you have something like describe. You can use this describe graphic organizer and go ahead and do it. So that becomes, very, very easy and simple.
Thank you. So I think this also answers your question that can it be only used to plan learning engagements? Not really. You can use it for assessments as well. Yes. Next one.
Next one is something. Yes, this is wonderful. Solo stations. The same thing is there, but then what we do is we create in the classroom solo stations for differentiation, keeping in mind the multiple intelligence, and we design for unistructural stage depending on the multiple stations. And then we have the list of activities assigned over there. The only thing is when they read on the activity, the students see where they stand, and they go there, and then they complete their requirements. The checklist is put up over there. Yes, I have completed. I can jump over to the next one, and I just report to my teacher. Okay, yes, I have, to my facilitator. Yes, ma'am, because of this reason, I'm moving to this, and this is my justification for my movement of my solo stations, and I comment over there. And then by the time they complete, and this is a wonderful tool, you can really see students moving around, using the spaces. It just works wonderful.
Yeah. And I would, really talk about agency here, because, it's not that the teacher is saying, oh, no, you have to finish that before you come here. It's an organic understanding that develops in the child. And since the stations are set up, it also makes you be very well planned with your unit. It also gives the students some agency to go back and forth between stations, and they know that, okay, till I finish the station, I'm not going to be able to attempt that probably. So they do not feel handicapped, rather they feel empowered there. So thank you for sharing this, Ms. Tanu.
Just one more thing I want to add it over here is, if you're taking according to the age specific, when you're taking to the lower primary, probably like kindergarten, grade 1 and grade 2, probably I just as an thing is, do not plan too many things in one station. Or when you take the higher grades, we can do. And definitely, as she talked about agency, sometimes, you know, you have to really, sometimes you co-construct the activities along with the students when they're comfortable with the stages. That way also you can do. Or one time you do it for them, and then rest assured that next time they will definitely do better than your, you know, what you do.
Yeah.
That is for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. So make sure that your stations are not too crowded. You know, I mean,
Yes.
that you don't get over ambitious there, because we are teachers and we do tend to do that sometimes. Yes. So next up, thank you so much for sharing that bit, Ms. Tanu. I think that was the last for the ways in which when to use solo. Now this is just a consolidation, so we can just go ahead. I mean, we're just going to talk about, if you can do the click, Joshua.
I think we can just do solo.
We have a small discussion on probably where are the places.
Okay, yes.
Okay, fine, yes.
So when do you use solo? So now that you have been exposed to all of these, tools to implement solo, when do you think you can use solo taxonomy? Some voices, we want to hear some voices from the room.
Please unmute yourself and you can contribute to it.
I think you could use solo taxonomy. I mean, there's many answers to this, but I think it would be great as almost self-assessing prior knowledge, and then students tracking their progress throughout a unit. So seeing, doing weekly check-ins, where do I feel I am now, and what do I need to do to progress my learning?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, definitely weekly check-in sounds like a great idea. Any other thoughts on that? When do we use solo? Like,
for assessment, I believe the assessment, summative or formative, should be holistically well thought, that it will involve children's way to go to higher ladder of learning. Thank you.
Yeah, so assessments is another place where you can use solo taxonomy and help them go up that ladder and reach the extended abstract stage. Thank you for that, Mishina. Any other ideas?
And even for any sort of reflection, I guess kids can map themselves with all the stages or with all the phases of solo taxonomy where they actually stand, whether they are in pre-structural stage, multi-structure. Even we as teachers, it's very easy for us to see that where the child is actually standing and how long he needs to go. So it is very, very easy for us to see, and for child as well.
Yeah. So some really interesting ideas. So Joshua, can you go ahead and show what is it that he's thinking of?
I wanted to share something, if it's okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so I was thinking about how we follow the writing process. So is it possible to have the writing process with help of solo taxonomy? Because it doesn't require, I mean, see, the writing process talks a lot about pre-writing, and so writing process could be part of it, but you always do mini lessons before you teach a genre of writing. So I was wondering if we could marry solo taxonomy and writing process somewhere, because solo taxonomy end talks about creating. And in the writing process, that's what the kids are doing. They're already creating a piece. So I was just trying to wonder if anyone else has done it. I'm not sure.
I would say I have myself done it, so I can just share with that. We were doing one of the stages when we were doing just a simple topic, on descriptive writing. And when, we started with the pre-structural stage, where, what is descriptive writing, and we gave them to describe something, and then they were not able to do it very, very clearly. And then we started with pre-structural, unistructural stage, one aspect of descriptive writing, when you can with grammar concepts, or you have sentence structural concepts. Then in the multi-structural stage, you have so many things you just listed down together. Whatever the points, you have it all together. And then in the relational stages, they started connecting between the multi-structural stages, which point will be connected to each other using the connectors, what we call it as conjunctions, and then finally came up with the whole writing. This was a very simple task where we had started with using a simple descriptive writing, when we did it with, and we did it more with speaking first, and then we went on to writing. This is how we went into it.
That's so interesting to see that, this can kind of permeate through, through the program, across the program, because I see some MYP connections also starting to emerge in the chat. And we have an example that's coming up really quickly. So if we can, we just have 12 minutes on the clock there. So if we can move ahead.
All right. When to use solo taxonomy, again, it's like you can use it for everyday reflection, for the whole inquiry, for a single particular concept, for a one learning engagement, or for assessment as together. So, but then why solo? Okay, Joshua.
Yeah.
All right. But now, why solo taxonomy? Why we should be using solo taxonomy? People can just say quickly, we can just, because we are running out of time, if people can just share.
So let's bring in a constraint into this. Maybe we can, somebody has already mapped the entire thing, but if we can use a chat feature and give some thoughts. Why solo? Why do we need to shift away from other things, or not shift away, maybe try to include solo? What are the benefits of including solo in your planning or whatever you want to use it for? If you can just use the chat feature to drop in your ideas. Students can see the bigger picture, okay? Scaffolds learning.
Learning, you can see, would be very visible.
Okay, to make learning visible for the learners.
Yes,
wow.
True.
Yep. A quick reflection helps students move to one level above, to delve into deeper thinking, to provide interventions. Thank you for bringing that up. Makes them agents of learning for self-assessment.
All right.
Wow.
And great resource or structure to make them agentic, because if students know all the various phases, they can easily self-assess that, yes, I lie in which phase, and they can accordingly move on to work better.
So I would like to answer Ms. Erin's question. Does PYP consider solo as an assessment tool or as an assessment strategy? This was something curious that I observed in the IB, new documents. They have kind of not really told anything much about it. So I think, it's a little, intermeshed, and that's why they have introduced solo. So that's my understanding. So doesn't really matter.
I would just want to add to this is what to her question is, as we say that assessments is like, when do we assess? Like, we assess the child at every stage. Every learning engagement can be an assessment. Every learning engagement can not be an assessment. It is what you measure and what you document. So solo taxonomy just give you a structure of assessing and reassessing. Basically, instead of word assessing, I guess monitoring is a better word, and it just gives you helps to children to monitor themselves as well as monitor their own learning. Feature for them to monitor, and monitor will be better than assessing, I guess. So I think it answers your question.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe we can just quickly just put it out there on the slide, and you guys can read it, and if you relate to it, awesome. Yeah. Okay, so maybe a pause here so that you can kind of take in why solo taxonomy. So this has been adapted by Ms. Tanu from Pam Hooks. Yeah. So this is the reason why we can take solo, and a lot of reasons have been already shared. Helps in the exhibition, there's some link with the MYP, and that's what we want to go into next. How does this apply into the MYP? Yes.
I have a question. How do you see so the inquiry cycle is very, stages get blurred and they kind of interweave and kids go back and forth between stages. Does this happen in solo taxonomy as well? Or do you expect like a linear progression only?
No, it definitely happens. You will see them going back and forth, especially when they come to multi-structural and relationship stage, because when they try connecting things, they will see, okay, I'm falling short of the facts, and they go back to their multi-structural stage, and I need to gather more facts, and then they go back again to their relationship stage. So you will not see a clear line, that's jumping over those stages, but from their thing, you will really understand, yes, it is completely messy. I would say it is completely a mess.
Thank you for answering. I was just trying to, because the visual representation shows a very linear progression, but I was just trying to figure out whether
no, it is not. It is not.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Okay, we have with us MYP dance teacher and Mr. Sumarai. So he has made a small lesson outline implementing Solo taxonomy. He was a participant in the chat day before yesterday, and after listening to the chat, he has gone ahead, designed his unit, his lesson using Solo. So I'll just show that, and I invite Mr. Sumarai to explain what he has done. Mr. Sumarai.
Hello everyone.
Hi, sir.
Hello.
Yes, please go ahead, sir.
Hope I am audible to everyone.
Yes.
Hello Abhishek ma'am, how are you?
I'll go.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Considering MIT, I choose. Okay. MIT 1 children has their unit, that's element of dance.
Okay.
Okay. So I have put 2 elements over here. That's an action. Blank. You don't know what is going to be happen.
Okay. I think we're having a little bit of trouble hearing you, sir. Okay.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes. It's not very clear, sir. Can you maybe
just give me a minute.
Okay. Yes. So Mr. Vincent is saying that this is looking largely like a rubric. Definitely, this is a try that Mr. Sumarai sir has given after the. I mean, he's just tried to engage with this idea. Like we said, this is a discussion. So
Abhishek ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, actually, yeah. So you can see this is the first picture of the student. He is completely blank in this picture. He don't know what's going to be happen. This is the pre-structural stage. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Are you sharing the screen?
Yes, sir. It's being shared.
Okay, so you can see that student needs. Yeah, a student needs help to understand and use of the elements of dance. And I have to avoid confusion. I have. Hello.
Okay, Sumarai sir, I'm so sorry. I think what's happening is we're not able to hear you. It's okay. What we're going to do is we're going to put this up in the Padlet, and what you can do is add an audio comment to your Padlet to justify why you planned it this way, right? And I think that would give a lot of clarity. Thank you, sir, for trying it. I know the connection's very bad there. So we're sorry, but we'll have to move on because of the connection. But I'll definitely make that Padlet available, and you can record your reflections, sir. Yeah.
Hello.
Yes. Okay. So let's move on. Yes, Mr. Joshua, we can move on. Yeah.
Okay. So right now, I was on the call with before the session. I was on the call with Mr. Sumarai also. So he explained to me what he was trying to do today. So he has used Solo taxonomy as a way of planning. This has provided him a basic structure, from where my students are going to start and where I want my students to go. And this is what he has planned for the MYP program. Okay. When we see in the MYP and PP programs, so there were some places where participants had also told this would work as a beautiful opportunity for planning the units or planning engagement. Solo would work as a beautiful opportunity for planning the lessons. That is, yes, you can use Solo as a part of it. You can implement Solo to make your plans. Yep. Even before this, we had a discussion talking about how the Solo taxonomy plays a major role in the exhibition. We know that for the PYP program, the PYP exhibition is the culminating experience of the whole PYP program. And that is exactly when you implement Solo from grade 1, and when the students are, so used to the process of taking it outside, this becomes a wonderful opportunity for them to reach the extended abstract, where they take things make connections and take things and then use it in the for the PYP exhibition. In the same way, for MYP, the community project, the personal project, and the CAS plays a major role for their certification. And in the same way, for diploma program, their CAS, their theory of knowledge, and their extended essay plays a major role. So in the same way, if we start implementing solo taxonomy from PYP, again, and also take it forward, the extended abstract level of which students attain, or the students come to the extended abstract level, it just gives them a wonderful, it just boons them to do wonderful things for the personal project, the community project, the CAS, for their theory of knowledge, for the extended essay. Okay. We definitely can use the command terms in the MYP to map along with the solo verbs, and that might give us a good structure to work with.
Okay, so I know we are running short of time. Sumarai sir's brother, I think Sudarai sir, has been messaging me saying that he can share the plan. Sir, would you be able to do it like in a minute, sir? Would that be possible for you? Sudarai sir?
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, you can see in picture, student can understand only one relevant element, that is body. Okay. And here the understand, it means they get mastery in this. Okay. In sector multi-structure, student can understand both the relevant element of dance, body, and action. You can see in the picture the student is dancing and he is understanding about both the elements. In third, in the relation, hello.
Yes, sir. Yes,
relational step. Student can understand the connection between both the elements of dance while performing simultaneously. Why I'm using the word simultaneously? Because here is a relation. So body, different body part has a very good coordination with the body while dancing. So for this example is coordination of different body parts while dancing.
Absolutely, sir.
And for the extended abstract, this is the final stage. Student can choreograph 4-bar dance routine using both the elements of dance. Here 4-bar, it means 1 bar contains 8 counts. So this is a routine of near about 32 counts. Okay, and through this dance routine, student can spread awareness to audience how to take basic precaution against pandemic COVID-19. So through dance, student can spread awareness about the basic precautions of pandemic COVID-19.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you so much for trying that out, sir. And I can see that you have structured it in a quite beautiful way. And there's always scope for improvement. Thank you for trying it out and being a sport and putting this together so quickly to show that we can take this up to the MYP level as well. And like Mr. Joshua very nicely pointed out, it has a huge connection to the MYP and DP. And if a school, especially continuum schools, were to adapt it and take it up, it could provide it could be a tool for aligning all the 3 programs of yours. So those are our thoughts. Anything else anybody would like to add? Mr. Joshua, yes.
I think we are running short on time as well.
Yes.
So if anybody has any places where you feel would work beautifully in the MYP and DP, please do put it up on the chat box, or unmute yourself and have a discussion.
Yeah, and we'll also add this section to the Padlet as well. So MYP DP connections, so do go and interact with that Padlet. And maybe if you can think of ways to implement it, more ways to implement it in MYP and DP, you can always go and add it there. Yes, thank you. Over to you, Ms. Vidya.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Abhishri. Again, today was another very insightful and thought-provoking session. I take this opportunity to thank all the participants who are here, especially for being there for the last 2 sessions, working on implementing Solo and being very supportive, coming in with your thoughts and inputs, making this discussion very rich. It was indeed a very rich learning session for each one of us here. As we end this session, I am walking out of it with rich perspectives, new ideas, and confident to implement Solo in my classroom. I also like to take this opportunity to thank Ms. Tanu and Mr. Joshua for being very supportive with us and putting up all the information and resources required together. I thank Ms. Abhishri for being such a great support for guiding us and for all the instructions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Suja, for gelling this entire thing and also being such a pivotal part in the process as well. And thank you all so much for being such an amazing audience. So we're going to hang around for next 5 minutes. So that's it. Bye bye from our end. But if any of you want to just last 5 minutes, maybe ask some questions, feel free to do so. We'll end the chat in 5 minutes. Yeah.
Miss Abhishek?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Actually, we had planned to this for one, but unfortunately, we were not able to execute this as a service as action because of the lockdown.
Wow, yes, in service as action. Okay. Thank you. Definitely, sir. I'm sure
it's one of the important component of NYP.
Absolutely, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I Abhishek, thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, ma'am.
Absolutely, sir. It's a combined effort. Mr. Joshua, Ms. Tanu, Ms. Suja, all of us had a lot of fun, and I'm glad you got this opportunity as well. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Today I was a silent spectator, but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes. What's the next topic of discussion?
We did not ask that.
I was waiting and no one didn't even ask about that. So let's start it.
Okay, absolutely. What could be the next ideas or thoughts? And like Ms. Tanu jumped in and she, Mr. Joshua and Mr. Tanu, because they have, tried this out, they provided so many resources for this. If anyone wants to share an idea of what next could we discuss about, why not go ahead into the chat box and just drop those ideas in. Maybe somebody else will pick it up as well. Yeah,
actually, yes, you can. There's so much things to explore in IB because with the enhanced version, it's wonderful.
Thank you, Ms. Shivani. Yes, Ms. Anita, I can see your hand go up.
Ms. Salima says enhanced PYP planner.
Oh.
Sorry?
Enhanced PYP planner.
Miss Shalini, would you like to say something about that?
Enhanced PYP planner. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
We were talking about it, but
yeah. So Miss Shalini and I were already talking about it, and that was something on our mind, but we were not sure so much about assessment, pedagogy. We were still thinking about it, but thank you for putting that out.
Anytime, maybe in summer vacations or whenever you guys feel comfortable and willing to do it. So
absolutely, and you know what, we would love to invite you all to contribute if any of you have been trying out the new planner. I have created this just a sharing template, right? It need not be, you can hide the name of your school or whatever. Don't have to violate your privacy policy, but if you guys can if you can create a bank of planners and take it up from there and discuss it, it would be great.
Yeah, precisely. Good. Great idea.
I don't know. How many have been using the planner is the question, because I've been using past 1 year.
Yeah, even me, I'm 1 year old.
I am also using, not since past 1 year, but 5-6 months you can say. Because 6 months it took me to understand how to
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, guys, thank you all for staying on. And okay, agency also seems to be coming along now. So all of you, if planner is something that you would all like to talk about, why not? We would love to take that up, and we would love to collaborate with a few more people, at least, in the contribution part, just like how we did today. We had like people sharing, and Miss Shalini, Miss Nanta, Mr. Sumurai, and all of you guys have shared, Miss Erin. So if we can like take this collaboration to the next level, it would be great. So why not? That is something we'd love. Okay, guys. So I think.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay, guys. Bye bye. Thank you. Thank you all. I'm going to end the meeting now. Bye bye.